Nestled amongst the 20-kilometre golden sands of Natai Beach, Alinta Phuket Pangar Resort and Spa for relaxing, romancing, or even a dream wedding in paradise. Alinta Phuket Pangar Resort and Spa is your destination.
And welcome to Phuket News TV. Obviously one of the hot issues around the island at the moment, and you'd have to have been living on a planet not to know what's going on, is the clearance of the beaches. Obviously it's a profound change to the lifestyle here in Phuket. A lot of tourists still don't know about it, and they're going to get a surprise when they come back to the island. To have a talk about this big issue, we've got Bill Barnett from C9 Hotel Works. Welcome, Bill. And also Donna Toon, who has been on the island for many years, been in hotel management and was the general manager of one of the beach clubs we'll be talking about. Welcome to you both. Bill, if I could start with you, what do you think about what's been happening, your overall thoughts?
I think it's certainly an interesting, is it a game changing or not? I mean, I guess the question for us is it sustainable? I mean, certainly you would have to be, in terms of our opinions on what's happening now, it's a positive, certainly clearing up the beaches. Without a doubt, with a number of tourists coming and everything else, the backlog was, last high season, I think, was magnified more than any other year with the sheer number of loungers blocking the beach. So certainly in terms of that, it is a profound change, certainly that we see in low season. But again, what's going to happen when the tourists come back? That's going to be the issue going forward.
Because you'd think that they're going to want a lounge to sit on and an umbrella to put over the top of them and somewhere to get a drink.
Arguably, I mean, we do a lot of work throughout Southeast Asia, and when we look at Bali, we look at even going to Hawaii, these are locations where you don't have the predominance of this type of loungers as well. So again, there's many other markets which are successful in sustainable tourism that do not have loungers or these large facilities on the beach. Yeah.
Donna, you've been around the island forever. You must be a bit surprised by the swiftness of the way this has been carried out.
Oh, absolutely. I think that, it's been talked about for a while now, and, there was a little murmurs maybe in the middle of last year about this sort of thing happening, but, we went to catch for lunch on the Saturday, and then on the Wednesday it was gone, just like that, The swiftness is scary, I think, and around the island, I think other beaches and other properties are feeling the nerves.
Now, I suppose the overriding issue is that people who live here think, well, okay, we love the idea that the beaches are going to be turned back to sort of year zero and they're going to be pristine and beautiful. But is this a good idea for tourism? Because what are the tourists going to do? They're going to say, oh, there's no more beach lounges, no more beach clubs, I don't want to go there anymore. Well, what are your thoughts? If you're a tourist, are you going to come back?
I think from a tourism perspective, there's two markets we talk about. There's the legacy markets, the snowbirds. This has been a legacy for the past 2 to 3 decades coming. We have people come from November across to March, April, coming from the European winter and escaping. And certainly they're the ones who want to bask on the beach. But since the global financial crisis, the new tourists, as we're seeing, the Chinese who are coming, everything else, we've seen more and more demand off the beach for tourism attractions, for retail activity as well. So certainly it's a tale of two markets, and certainly Phuket is very largely leveraged in terms of these legacy markets who expect the loungers, but also in terms of the new tourists, we've seen these demands going off the beach. So in terms of with the market going forward, what is the new tourist going to demand?
Yeah. What do you think, Donna? Are the same tourists going to come, or is it going to attract more family tourists now that we've got the beaches cleared?
Well, I think that, like Bill said, there are two markets there, and a lot of the products and properties that have been knocked over at the moment are high-end, quite visible, established products in this market, and it's a place that we all go, and tourists, places like Hatch and those sort of properties are internationally recognised as a big attraction for someone like Phuket. So now when you go down to Surin, and don't get me wrong, it's really stunning, but I think that we'll see in the high season when the people come back what actually this is going to affect.
Now, you were the general manager of Zazadar, the beach club right down the end of Surin Beach at the north end. Was there any thought when it was being constructed that what you were doing was actually building on illegal land?
Oh, absolutely not. It would never have been even founded if it was thought to have been illegal. And as we know, Zazadar is still sitting there, but I think perhaps most of it's closed because they're waiting, and I think trying to see what's going to happen, see whether this is a short-term thing or whether it's a long-term thing. They haven't acted like other properties along that beach as quickly as they have, so I think it's a worry.
I was going to say, is there a paperwork problem here? Do people just not know if they're legal or not?
No, I think certainly there is an issue in terms of certain lands. The beach clubs have been traditionally what we've seen in the investment going. They've been leasing the properties and doing the right thing. They've also been, in many cases, the quickest to demolish and move back. Something that I can't add in, there's a lot of other markets where beach clubs are very popular. Bali, per se, Coup d'etat, Potato Head. They operate on land which is back of the beach again. So when we see the opportunity also, we think the beach clubs will continue to operate here in Phuket, but they will relocate. And certainly they will be sustainable over the period of time. So I think it's, you can't really argue that Phuket's going to fall over because of the lack of sun lounges at beach clubs. That whole proposition to me is preposterous. It just doesn't make sense. What it means is that, yes, the hardest hit market will be Patong, where people are building hotels without any facilities, where people have no other option except to go to the beach. Those hotels have been getting a free ride for a long time by not having to build facilities. Will Phuket be a better place with tourists who are going to also look for other facilities and bigger hotels? Perhaps, maybe it will be, in terms of that. So it is sustainable.
I was stunned by the amount when we were up at Nai Ton Beach, and they were saying that some of the businesses had paid up to 10, 15 million to actually be able to run their business. I don't know where the money was paid to. And then they're talking about rents of 400,000 baht a year to actually rent the opportunity to run those clubs. The tourists must be paying a lot for their food. You must be paying a lot for a pad thai so they can get some sort of return.
Yeah, you would think so, but Mr. Udi's on Naitorn Beach is an iconic little property, and
not anymore.
Well, it's still there. They haven't actually been given their official 45-day notice, but we go up there to eat at that property because it's it's a bit of an institution up there. Different, I think. We talked off air before that down in Rawai and anything further north of Heroines Monument, it's quite a different culture about properties and things. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Crystal ball time, Bill. Let's look into the Phuket property crystal ball. It's a bit like Australia's Gold Coast. It has a bit of a boom and bust thing. What's happened here has been a little bit left of centre. It's come out of nowhere in particular and surprised everybody. What's going to happen to Phuket the next 2 or 3 years?
We've seen, when we look at figures through the end of high season, we've seen certainly not negative numbers, but we've seen a slowdown in growth for Russia and for China. Okay, these numbers are still registering growth, but it's low single digits. So there certainly is a slowdown, be it from, again, we have the World Cup effect certainly for football. We have other effects certainly coming in line with the economies as well. So we're seeing a slowdown. I think for us to take a crystal ball, we want to understand the issue you talk about is not isolated to beach clubs or to restaurants on the beach. It's a series of corruption. And when you talk to hotel owners, Thai hotel owners, they say certainly, there's the issue going forward is who's going to govern Phuket. Certainly we have Pattaya, which has a special zone status as well, but also there's always the concern is when you localize that issue, you're going to also have a widespread corruption. So in many ways, people don't have a choice right now in terms of what they think is the best alternative, in terms of having a national governance where you have the military taking control, or you're going to allow it to localize again and to try to work through that where you have this system of corruption. So it's finding the equilibrium. For us, it's really going to be finding the equilibrium through the years and finding a model that is sustainable. But I think, right now it's positive in terms of people's expectations is taking control from a centralized government and implementing these changes, at least for now. The question is what happens next.
Well, you mentioned the sort of special economic zone idea. Should Phuket be made into a special economic zone and run its own affairs?
There's been discussions about that, but again, the interesting point is not when you talk to foreigners and we talk to Thais. And the concern of Thais always is that they understand within the system is that there can be large, widespread local corruption. And when that's done is they actually fear it. To a point, because they're saying when Bangkok is not involved in the governance of Phuket, what's going to happen? Are there pockets where people, absolute power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts at any levels. And when you look across a broad spectrum, is Phuket ready to govern itself? That's really a pending issue of, can it be done effectively?
Bill Barnett for governor.
Not at all. I don't think anybody's brave enough to take that step.
Donna, time to look into your crystal ball. I mean, you live here, you've got your family here. Obviously, it's important for Phuket to be sustainable and a safe place for your family. How do you see the whole move on the beach as sort of panning out and moving to other parts of the way we live here?
Well, it's not just the beach clubs. There are lots of other things. The radio station, for example, is a big thing, and that's affecting a lot of people on this island too. And these are things that I guess it's not so prominent in the media and things, but these little things are also happening elsewhere. So hopefully in the future, this all sort of sorts itself out, and the taxi mafia and all that sort of thing also gets squashed.
So, Bill, just finally, C9 Hotel Works, what are you going to be reporting about, because you're heading off to Sydney, I understand, what are you going to be reporting about what's happening in Phuket?
I think we want to take a forward-looking view. What's going to happen in 2015? Hotels are now doing their budgets for next year. They're wondering what's going to happen in terms of room rates, in terms of occupancy. I think people's general view is, there's a lot of hidden items out there that could come out. Will Thailand allow visa-free travel for Chinese? That could unlock a lot of new volume to the island as well. But really for the pathway, we're looking at what's going to happen in 2015 and trying to get a read from that. The only way we can do that is look at the numbers in the market and start talking to hoteliers and form a view over the next month or so what people are thinking is going to happen going forward.
And Donna, as far as all your work on the island's concerned, where do you think the tourists are going to be coming from in the future? Are we going to have the Russians and the Chinese keeping on filling the hotel rooms, or maybe a return of some of the European market? What's your thoughts?
Well, I think that Phuket's always going to have that mid-market. It's a strong market through Australia and obviously China and through Asia. But, that high-end market is what I think Phuket needs to target. And I think, there are a lot of properties coming online that are trying to encourage that and sort of lift the standard of the tourists that is coming through, because the tourists that are coming at the moment, there's high numbers, but they're not spending. And that's the sort of tourists we want back.
Yeah, very interesting point. Well, look, thank you both very much. Obviously, both intimately involved with what's happening here from certainly a property point of view and from a living point of view, and being on the very much the coalface. We'd love to hear what you think about what's happening around Phuket's beaches at the moment, the clearances and the effect that the military junta is having here on the island. And you can do so by going onto our Facebook page and writing whatever you like. We'll delete it if we don't like it. Thank you, Bill, from C9 Hotel Works. Good luck in Australia.
Thanks, Tim.
And Donna, good luck with your family and whatever ventures you end up doing in the future.
Thanks, Tim.
And we can hear you very soon back on Live 89.5 with Lounge at Live on Saturday mornings.
We hope so. Goodness me.
Thank you very much for joining us here on Phuket News TV.
Ever thought of diving into your own pool? At Navinda Pool and Spas, we pride ourselves on being the #1 swimming pool constructor specialist in Thailand. Make Navinda your choice. Visit our showroom in Geelong or go to navindapools.com.
One luxury villa is up for private sale on the island. This spectacular residence is valued at 19 million baht, featuring a huge multi-purpose entertainment room with 5 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms, an outdoor barbecue area, pool and much, much more. This stunning villa is in the Land and House Estate in Geelong. For more details, contact Martin at q-value.com or call 081 833 4795.